The recent flooding has provided logistical challenges for every community that saw rising waters. Here in Sioux Falls, the city has been dealing with varying degrees of flooding for the last 2.5 weeks now. And we wanted to know what it has been like for the city to meet those challenges. We were able to talk about that earlier this week with Sioux Falls Mayor Paul TenHaken.
My reaction to how the city responded to our flooding event was one of just being humbled and overwhelmed at the expertise that we have in the city.
Sioux Falls Mayor Paul TenHaken tells us having that bench of experts within the city allowed him to oversee the flood's response from a position of confidence.
The role I played in this was to lead, to cast a vision, to say this is what we have to get done, but then step out of the way of the experts who have been there before, who have done this, and let them operationally execute our relief efforts. And so that combination of me casting a vision, saying this is where we have to go, and letting them run and operate seemed to work really well with our relief efforts.
This flooding event affected not only Sioux Falls, but other communities within Minnehaha County, most notably Del Rapids and Renner. But having this event be widespread from a county perspective showed TenHaken the importance of having good, solid, open lines of communication with not only his department heads in Sioux Falls, but in those other communities as well.
One thing I learned from this event is how well the communities and the different government organizations will convalesce and convene to work together on solutions. I mean, we had an EOC center with city officials, county officials, private sector. I mean, the governor was calling in, all working together to help ready us for what could be a historic flooding event. So that was really cool to see how well all those entities come together for the good of, in this case, Minnehaha County and Sioux Falls.
But there was a challenging component to all of this for TenHaken: what to tell the public. In the days before the Big Sioux River's most recent crest earlier this week, the flood's projected forecast was altered. What was at first forecast to be a historic flood event was eventually downgraded to a lower level flooding concern, but a concern that still needed to be taken seriously.
The thing that is hard with something like this is determining how much attention and focus you give on what could be historic flooding efforts and how you communicate that to the public without instilling fear, without overhyping the event. You want people to take it seriously, you want them to take the right precautions, but you also want to be realistic with them and say, hey, based on the weather patterns, we could have historic flooding or we could have a trickle. So we prepare for this, knowing it could be this. And so finding that right balance in communication is something I really learned from this event, and I'll take to future natural disaster events as well.
Sioux Falls Mayor Paul TenHaken with us tonight.